Your brain doesn't miss the person who hurt you. It misses the chemical roller coaster they put you on. And once you understand that, you'll never look at heartbreak the same way again. You know the person was bad for you. You can list the reasons on one hand, the way they made you doubt yourself, the nights you cried over something that shouldn't have mattered, the friends who watched from the sidelines and quietly begged you to leave. And yet, 3 weeks after it ends, you're staring at your phone at 2 a.m., thumb hovering over their name. Why? Why does the part of you that knows better keep dragging you back to the exact thing that hurt you? The answer isn't weakness. It isn't poor judgment. It's neuroscience. And once you see the mechanism, the pull starts to make a strange, uncomfortable kind of sense. Let's start with the chemical at the center of all this: dopamine. Most people think of dopamine as the feel-good chemical, the thing that fires when something pleasant happens. That's only half the story. Dopamine isn't really about pleasure, it's about anticipation. It's the chemical of maybe. And nothing produces more maybe than a toxic relationship. Here's the mechanism. In a stable, healthy relationship, rewards are predictable. Kindness follows kindness. Affection is met with affection. Your brain, over time, comes to expect this, and the dopamine response actually flattens out, not because the relationship is bad, but because your nervous system has learned it doesn't need to stay on high alert. Predictability is calming. It's also, chemically speaking, less intense. Toxic relationships work on the opposite pattern. They're intermittent. Warmth one day, coldness the next. Love bombing followed by silence. Apology followed by the same behavior all over again. This isn't a flaw in the relationship. Psychologically, it's the exact structure that produces the strongest possible dopamine response. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. If a machine paid out every single time, you'd get bored fast. But if it pays out unpredictably, sometimes a jackpot, sometimes nothing, your brain becomes hooked on the not knowing. The uncertainty itself becomes the hook. Toxic partners, whether they mean to or not, often become human slot machines. And your brain, wired over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution to chase reward, doesn't distinguish between this reward is good for me and this reward is unpredictable and therefore worth chasing. It just chases. Now layer trauma bonding on top of that. Trauma bonding happens when cycles of abuse or mistreatment are interrupted by intense moments of relief, affection, or apology. Picture the pattern, tension builds, something painful happens, an insult, a betrayal, a cold shoulder, and then, just when you think it's over, comes the apology, the tears, the "I'll never do it again." The affection floods back in, and it feels enormous because it's arriving after pain. Relief itself becomes a drug. Your nervous system doesn't just remember the hurt, it remembers the relief that followed it, and it starts craving the whole cycle, hurt included, because the hurt is what makes the relief feel so intense. This is why survivors of toxic relationships often describe missing their ex most intensely not during the calm periods after the breakup, but during moments that mimic the old cycle: a stressful week, a lonely night, a moment of low self-worth. Your brain is pattern matching. It's saying, I know this feeling. I know what came next. Let's go back and get the relief. There's also the matter of attachment wiring, laid down long before you ever met this person. Attachment theory tells us that our earliest relationships with parents, caregivers, the people who first taught us what love looks like, create templates in the brain for what feels normal in intimacy. If your early experience of love included inconsistency, if affection had to be earned, if you learned that people you loved could also hurt you, and that this was simply how closeness worked, then a toxic relationship in adulthood doesn't register as alarming. It registers as familiar. And familiar to the brain often gets mistaken for safe, even when it's the opposite. This is one of the cruelest tricks your mind plays on you. It's not attracted to what's healthy by default. It's attracted to what's known. A calm, secure, emotionally available partner can feel, to someone with this wiring, almost unsettling, too quiet, too easy, even a little boring, while chaos feels like chemistry. Then there's the sheer weight of shared memory and identity fusion. When you spend months or years with someone, your brain doesn't file them away as a separate, external thing. It integrates them into your sense of self, your routines, your future plans, your inside jokes, your mental model of us. Losing them isn't just losing a person. It's losing a part of the architecture your identity was built on. Neuroscientists who study grief have found that the brain processes the loss of a significant relationship using circuitry that overlaps with physical pain and even withdrawal from addictive substances. This is not a metaphor. Brain imaging studies on people going through breakups have shown activation in regions associated with craving and reward seeking, the same regions implicated in substance dependence. When people say heartbreak physically hurts, they are not exaggerating for effect. They are describing something close to literal. So when you miss a toxic person, you are not missing cruelty. You are not secretly craving being belittled or ignored or manipulated. What you are missing is a cocktail of things that got fused. Chemically and neurologically, to that person's presence, the dopamine hits of uncertainty, the relief of trauma bond cycles, the false comfort of familiar dysfunction, and the sheer neurological habit of having them wired into your daily life. Understanding this doesn't make the craving disappear overnight, but it does something almost as powerful. It reframes the experience. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me that I still want this person back?" and start asking, "What is my brain actually chemically attached to? And how do I detox from that instead of from a person?" Because that's really what recovery from a toxic relationship is. It's not just an emotional healing process, it's closer to withdrawal. Just like someone quitting a substance goes through cravings that spike and fade in waves, people leaving toxic relationships often experience the same pattern. Intense pulls in the first weeks, sudden urges triggered by a song or a smell or an anniversary. Moments where the craving feels unbearable, followed by stretches of clarity. This is not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign your nervous system is recalibrating to a world without the chemical spikes it got used to. The way out isn't to wait until you stop missing them. That mindset keeps you trapped, because the missing may not fully vanish for a long time. The way out is no contact, consistency, and time, which slowly starve the dopamine loop of the unpredictability it needs to survive. Every time you resist reaching out, every time you let a craving wave rise and fall without acting on it, you are literally rewiring the pathway. You are teaching your brain a new pattern. Safety is not boring, calm is not the same as nothing, and peace, given enough time, can become its own kind of addictive, the healthy kind. So the next time you find yourself missing someone who hurt you, remember this. It isn't proof that they were good for you. It isn't proof you made a mistake by leaving. It's proof that your brain did exactly what brains have done for millions of years. It bonded to intensity, to unpredictability, to relief after pain. Because for most of human history, that combination usually meant something worth paying attention to. But you are not living in that history anymore. You get to choose differently. Your brain doesn't miss the person. It misses the roller coaster. And roller coasters, no matter how thrilling, are not where anyone is meant to build a home.